Everybody, we'd like to welcome you and anyone who might be watching this as a replay to our Monday HR Happy Hour tonight, featuring Ultimate Image Coach Pamela Toussaint. Pamela has been an active, almost a founding member of this outreach that started with local SHRM chapters 5, 6 years ago. And she has been very kind in giving her time and her skill set and training and development programs. We're very happy to have her. We have a few people in the crowd that are viewers only tonight. That's usually rare, but we welcome them too. With that, I am going to say, Miss Pamela, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike, and good evening, everyone. It's great to see all of our, I shouldn't say old, but loyal friends here, JR, Francine, and welcome to our viewers, of course. And it's interesting that you mentioned that I've been with this group for a while, because 1 year ago today, almost to the day, I actually did a session and I called it Maximizing their next HR interview with a compelling personal brand. And the quick first quiz question is, JR and Francine, were you on that call?
I believe I was, yeah.
I think you were too. So speaking of alumni, we have a couple of them right here. And in that call, what we were talking about is HR folks stepping out of the box and actually differentiating themselves in terms of securing that next job via their HR interviews. So roll forward a whole year, and I have a couple of little quotes that I have up in the unified chat. And I don't know if Mike, we can scroll down and show them, but in the meantime, I'm going to read one of them, and then we can talk about it. A person who is not a radical like me is quoted. This is an article. It says, advancing technology, demographic shifts, and globalization are just some of the trends that have jumped from the pages of research and forecasting. As a result, we're all being forced to adapt faster than ever. Individuals need to reskill and upskill. That's a new word. I love it. Organizations and industries must find new ways of doing business, and entire professions, including HR, have to rewrite the playbooks for their continued existence and success. This is not a radical personal branding person saying that, but this was actually said by the president of SHRM in the most recent HR magazine that just came out in the last few days. So that's a pretty radical statement. HR folks need to upskill and reinvent and reskill for our very existence and our success. So that makes this conversation ever so relevant.
Very nice.
I don't know, do you guys read the HR magazine either online or do you get it at home?
I just got mine yesterday, so I
did as well yesterday.
Yeah, it's a great issue. There are a couple of other articles in there that are just so relevant to what we're talking about here tonight. So with that said, what does he mean when he talks about upskilling and leveling up in terms of your brand and differentiating and disrupting?
Well, I think HR has always been considered a major voice at the table. But I think HR needs to be more than just expertise in HR skills these days. I think we need to have a good business and entrepreneurial skills behind us too.
Absolutely right. Absolutely, I hear you. And Fran, what are your thoughts regarding that?
I think that, quite frankly, as an HR professional, we need to tie in what we do to the bottom line that's realized by both the CEO and the CFO, and that will make what we do a little bit more or that much more valuable to senior management as well as the entire organization.
Very good. And it looks like we have a new person joining us on the video part of this call. I can see half of you, and is it Tashana? Can you hear us? I think the sound is off.
That's Tashania. Welcome, Tashania. Can you hear us?
She's on mute.
She needs to take her off mute.
Yeah, she's on mute. I see it.
There she is.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Can you adjust your camera a little bit so we can see your entire beautiful face?
I'll try. I'm like new to this, so
Yeah, that's what we're all here to do, just kind of work out the learning curve. There you
okay, can
are.
you see me
Very
now?
good.
There
That's
you
good.
are.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you would allow me, let's take one quick second to do intros. So and not just intros, updates. So if you would just introduce yourself, maybe others have met you, but I haven't. I'm Pamela Toussaint, and I'm a personal branding and image consultant, and still consider myself a professional who actually works in the HR arena. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Tashania.
Well, I'm currently studying, getting a master's in HR at Nova, and I work as a paralegal at the Bankruptcy Trustee's Office, Chapter 13. And I have a 7-year-old son.
Okay, so you're an aspiring HR or you're an aspiring business professional who works in the HR field. That's our new
Right.
definition.
Okay, Pamela, can I go next?
Sure, go ahead,
Okay,
Mike.
and before I do, I want to ask that Tashania click over there. You'll see a green circle that has three silhouetted heads. If you
Okay.
click, if you click on that, it's going to load and give us access to our chat and sharing documents and
Okay.
all of that stuff.
Okay. Got it.
All right.
And so my name is Mike. I am a employee benefits broker, consultant. I believe healthy employees are less costly employees, so I love worksite wellness programs, and I work hard at executing those on behalf of our clients that helps them ultimately save dollars, maximizing not just the investment in their benefits, but long term, increasing the overall workforce productivity. And I'm right here in West Palm Beach. I'm happy to have a few people. I think Lana from Texas. So, anyways, back to you, Pamela.
All righty. And any updates, Francine? Any updates from your end? Can't hear you. Okay.
And we lost her microphone.
Lost
There
the
it
mic.
is.
Got it back. Okay.
Yeah, there was some noise in the background, so I don't have an update at this time, other than the fact that I am actively looking and looking forward to the next opportunity.
Okay, perfect. So we will work on some ideas there. And it sounds like JR is on to her next
Yes,
activity, if you will. Give us a quick update, JR.
I am working for as an HR manager, the first HR professional um, for a for a diagnostic testing company in Boca Raton.
Okay, well, congratulations.
You
Thank
look
you.
fabulous.
She
Oh,
does, doesn't
thanks.
she? Yeah, she
Oh
does.
no, my hair is a little bit wild because I drove with the top down.
Oh,
So
you look tousled. Tousled is the word, right?
yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So getting back to some HR, some strategies for us to upskill or level up, as the president of SHRM calls it. We need to kind of think out of the box quite a bit. One of the things he said, what is it going to take for HRs to get out of that box? And I think his word is to thrive. And the definition that he said, we should stop thinking of ourselves as HR people. And if you think back a year ago, I pretty much said that. I'm not going to say he got it from me, but it sounds like we're on the same page. And he said, let's follow the lead of a lot of the brand name leaders out there who are saying, I'm a business professional who leads HR strategy or who leads benefit strategy or who leads talent development and so forth. And if we think about the business professional, it takes a more global view of the world rather than if we think we're in the HR box.
Hmm.
So that's really a definition change that we will talk about. In the meantime, also, I think most of you know that I have, maybe not to Shania and Lana, but most of you know that I've written a book, and that to me was my stepping out of the box in a big way. That has been a game-changing endeavor for me. The book was published in March in Women's History Month, and that was intentional. I wanted it to be profound in terms of the timing. And I have been on the speakers tour talking about differentiating and disrupting a lot. and it makes us more authentic when we have actually experienced the journey. And so hopefully some of the tips I'll share with you is coming from the background of having been an HR person in the past to now being a business consultant who helps HR folks as well as other business leaders to rebrand and to upscale their talent. So that's really where I come from on that one. So let me just
Pamela, Pamela,
yes, go ahead, Mike.
can I ask, is the book available in e-version? Is it on Amazon? How can we get access?
Right. In fact, one of the links that I put over there is actually to a write-up about the book. The book is available on Amazon. It's available in hard copy. It's available as a Kindle book. And I understand from someone who called me last week said she was listening to the book in her car. I didn't realize that it was an automatic conversion into an audio. So it's available in just about every medium, whatever medium floats your boat. But so it's available on Amazon. I'm doing a ton of speaking engagements locally. And Tashania, you're local. You're in Broward, right? You do live in Broward as well, or Tashania? I think we lost Tashania. But if I just continue. So any questions about that? It's available. It's out there. It's I run specials every once in a while. Who is a Kindle person? Who likes to read on Kindle? I think a couple of us. I actually like a physical book. But I also have a Kindle version. So I frequently have two versions because when I travel, I take my Kindle version with me of books that I really like. I say that to say that whatever way you want to read it, it's available. So hopefully we will have a chance to talk about it. But what I was going to say is that the differentiate and disrupt chapter really comes from the book. And in that chapter, I give a number of tips. And even though the book is about women, getting women to rebrand and reinvent themselves, a lot of these tips are transferable to HR. So, right? First of all, most of the HR folks are women. You know that, right?
Whoa, wait. Stop the train. Stop the train.
That is a statistic, Mr. Michael. That's a statistic. So, but it doesn't matter. As I say, most of the tips are available, are really, really apropos for men as well, because frankly, we're talking about diversity. Men need to know how women lead, right, to be a better leader themselves, right, Mr. Mike, right? So it's really a business book, and I've actually gone into companies and spoken about some of the concepts that I've put forth in the book. So let me just talk about the first one, is that we HR people have to own our power because we're now business leaders. And what that means, and I want to get some reaction to this, is we can actually influence policy in a larger context. Think globally, what keeps business leaders, CEOs awake at night? Is it culture? Is it whatever? And then how can we HR people lead those changes? So let me throw that out. From your perspective, what do you think keeps business leaders, CEOs, COOs, sales, all of those people awake at night?
Profit.
The bottom line.
The bottom line, profit.
Yeah.
The bottom line? Okay, meaning say a little bit more about that.
Well, I think...
talk among yourselves. I just need to plug in my battery. Just a second.
Okay. I think it's not just about the bottom line. I think that's important. But I also think CEOs are responsible for, for keeping people employed. And so it affects people's lives as well as if the bottom line isn't there, it affects everybody's life, including the CEO himself.
Yeah, and in addition to that, does every person have all the tools that they need to succeed in their position tomorrow that will affect the interrelation between departments to be able to do well with our external customer as well as our internal customer and make it a win-win so that it does tie into what you said, JR, and do improve and affect the bottom line.
Right. And part of that is where we come in, is making sure we have the right people in the right roles, and
Right.
that we understand what roles are going to be in place to make us successful. So it's basically, is our corporate structure, sufficient to, sustain the organization
And
and
achieve
help make
the
us
vision and the
profitable.
mission. Is the corporate structure right there to support the mission and vision of the organization.
Right. And I think that's something JR said that I'm going to build on and then get some reaction around it, is that do we have the right people in place? And more importantly, do we have the right skill sets in place?
Yes.
Because the Center for Talent Innovation came out with a study not too long ago, and the whole notion of what's keeping HR people from getting, C-suite appointments, COO, CEO, all of those appointments, is really three things. It's their ability to lead, to negotiate, and their ability to exude what we call gravitas, which is that wonderful word that talks about, how you command presence in terms of decision making in a boardroom, how you put your position out with, with obviously no fear of reprisal from the CEOs, who are a little bit more weighty than we are. So those are some of the skill sets that we have to really think about how HR can play into supporting that pipeline of talent.
True.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with everything you just said.
I agree as well.
Okay, so and is Dennis joining us? I can see that he's a viewer, but
I'm trying my best to get Dennis in. He's got more than a couple of prompts to join us, and if he finds his way in, he will be welcome. If he wants to hang out as a viewer, that's okay too.
Okay, perfect. So the other topic that I'm going to throw out there as well, in terms of all of us HR folks, but in terms of Fran, you're in a job search situation, and Tashania, you're aspiring to be an HR person. A couple of other issues that we need to wrestle with as a profession. One of them is a confidence issue. We're reluctant to take a seat at the table. And if we take a seat at the table, it ends up being a seat in the most remote corner of the table, not the seat of power, right? So that's something that we need to embrace, is our power as a serious corporate or business professional and a business leader, right? So what is keeping us, what is that reluctance? What is that confidence gap, and how can we overcome it? Any thoughts?
I think sometimes, I think it's up to us to educate the CEOs what we do bring to the table, and how we should be at the table, and why we should be at the table, and how we can impact the bottom line just by everything that we said before, getting, identifying the skills that we need to succeed and putting the right people in the right roles. And I think it's our responsibility to effectively communicate to the executives that here's what we do bring to the table, and here's why we should be there, and why we're valuable.
And Fran, what do we back that up with? How do we know that we're valuable and that we do bring a lot to the table? What are some of the ideas that you say, if I want to be a more powerful HR person and taken seriously at the leadership level, what do I need to bring to the table? What are some of the things? Facts. Yes.
Metrics.
Statistics, specific policies, the knowledge. As an HR professional, we have so many tools at our fingertips to get up-to-date information on laws, whether it be any changing laws and or policies that will impact what it is that we do as a particular company. So if there's a policy change, if there are specific programs that are available that will impact what we do to perpetuate the mission and vision of the organization, that's what we have at our fingertips.
Right.
And in with what you said also, Pamela, and what JR said, it impacts the bottom line.
Absolutely. We have to speak the language. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, I'm not in HR, but I've been like doing a lot of research and stuff. And one of the things that I've noticed is that, like, like HR professionals, they don't really like talking about like necessarily the numbers and understanding how HRIS systems and analytics could play a big part in like their role and even like convincing the leaders to get a seat at the table. Like if we understood more, like I know like so far I've only taken one class that actually incorporates numbers and how you align it with the business goals of the company and the scorecard and stuff like that. So I think that might be one of the things that could land us a seat at the table.
Oh,
And gain more confidence, I guess.
that's great input. In fact, to highlight exactly what Tashana just said, when was the last time one of us HR people actually walked down to the shop floor and asked the person about their, if it's a manufacturing business and want to know about their inventory turns and delayed shipment and taught the language of business, or walked over to sales and talked about, as you say, the bottom line issues and how many sales were made, are we off this month? So once you start talking that language, they say, oh, they're one of us. Now they're demonstrating that they're a business leader, and they're going to be able to provide us with the support.
Or here's a big one, Pamela.
Yes.
How often that we as HR people walked in or set a time with the CFO to say, hey, do we know what our return on investment is and all that money we're spending on employee benefits?
True.
It's a tough question, and generally that's never asked off of the normal open enrollment or renewal cycle.
That's exactly right. Yep. And we need to have that constant engaging but also challenging dialogue with our leaders. And let's go back to the confidence thing, because confidence is such an important part of what we're talking about here. In my book, in that chapter that I talk about power up, finding your power and leading, there are some statistics that show that the Gallup poll finds that having access to flexible work arrangements was highly correlated with greater work engagement and higher well-being. And these policies helped businesses attract and retain clients, contributing to a business's success. If you're an HR person, and you are, how would you take those statistics and the numbers that I just shared with you and the thoughts and walk into a leader's office and say, hey, I have an idea about changing some policy based on these numbers and these metrics and these things that I've gathered, and I think it will take our company in a positive direction.
I think that's fabulous.
I do too.
And it's very, depending on what it is, it has been very well received. But when there's an impact and there's numbers and analytics and metrics, and we can compare that to the specifics of the particular industry, whether it be nationwide statistics versus what we have in this particular organization, it does make a difference, and it is well received.
Absolutely. Did you want to say something, Tashania?
No, I just like I'm in agreement with what you both just said. Because once you have the numbers, it's not just going on instinct anymore. It's like you have figures to back it up to say, okay, this is why I'm saying this, and this is why this would work. So everything that Francine just said, I agree.
Okay. Fantastic. So I guess a takeaway then for us would be definitely making sure that we're getting those different types of statistics that will help us to make policy or just recommend or drive policy change. So hang out with the operations people, read whatever they read, walk over and talk to some salespeople, talk to some benefits people, for crying out loud, right? We have one right here in her midst. And see how that impacts the policy, how we're going to drive policy change, and have the comfort level and the gravitas to say, and Mr. CEO or Ms. CEO, please, let's just be clear here. I'd like to take that forward, put together a recommendation, and I will deliver this at the next meeting of the board.
Absolutely, with confidence.
I would like to say the word HR metrics can be a complex term, that people, I think, in a SURE meeting will throw around. That's our way to connect to the C-suite. But in a simple matter, it's just using numbers to talk to our executive stakeholders, the key people, be it COOs or CEOs or CFOs that we want to partner with. And here's the catch. There's lots of numbers, there's lots of data, there's lots of statistics that don't mean anything to anybody, but to find out what data or what number or what measurement is important to your CFO or your CEO, and then talk to them in terms of backing of that number. That's where I think the magic starts happening. Find the metrics that are relevant to your executive stakeholders, and now you are working like a partner, and you will find yourself invited to the boardroom.
That's correct. And sometimes you'll find that they don't even know the numbers, but they will know the issue. For instance, in the same issue of HR Magazine, they talk about the whole issue of making a workplace happier. And it's all about culture. And I just read a related article where the leaders, the COO, CEO, the CFO, all of those don't trust HR with being the culture change leader in this context. So what do you think it's going to take from us to develop that, to have these leaders develop the trust in us to actually lead the culture change? Because culture change is a huge issue these days. Any thoughts?
That's a tough one.
Trust is a tough one. It is a tough one.
It is.
Communication.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge part of it is definitely building the trust and, kind of building a little bit of it at a time. Do a couple of things before. Go ahead.
And part of it, I think, is not just building the trust with the C-suite, but building the trust with the employees. Developing the relationships with the employees, understanding, some of their issues and changes that they would like to see within the workplace that would help bring about change. So I think it's a two-pronged attack, basically. It's working with the employees themselves and understanding some of the things that they would like to see changed and what would make them happy within, what kind of culture they want to work within. And then starting with them to develop the change and showing the C-suite, look, here are some of the changes that we've made within the workforce. Look at the productivity numbers. I mean, they speak for themselves. You have a happy workforce, and
absolutely.
People are putting in more hours. They're accomplishing more in the work day, and less overtime because there's more productivity during normal hours. Things like that make a huge difference.
I would agree. And what JR is saying, and I totally agree, is we need to have our fingers on the pulse of what's going on out there in order to be credible with our leaders. If we want to drive policy change, then do we know what's going on over there in operations or out on the factory floor? Do we know what makes them tick or what ticks them off, actually? And see if we can be a credible driver of change. So again, file that one away. Culture change in a corporation, huge issue. They're trying to take it out of the realm of HR, and I think there's an opportunity here to kind of wrest that back with some really concrete things to do.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that one? Okay.
I agree. I agree with that. And I think, again, it ties into the mission and vision. And with the numbers, sometimes we can say numbers or we're doing better. But if we can quantify it, that, our retention rate has increased 23%. Our turnover rate has decreased. And as a result, nationwide, the statistics are they generally have, nationwide, our industry has a 20% turnover rate. We've had 10%, and that difference has saved us so much dollars in different costs. We're bringing on a better wellness program. Our mod rate has decreased. It just helps.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. And just know that the old adage that applies to the rest of the world applies even more so within the company, within HR, is that people do business with people they what?
Right.
Know, like, and trust.
That's it.
So for us to be embraced as part of the leadership, the decision-making part of the organization or the strategic part, folks are going to have to know us more. We can't be isolated in a corner. They're going to have to like what they're, just if you look in the mirror and you see a confident person smiling back at you, it's most likely that they will see it as well. And then the trust factor is absolutely huge. When they think of a huge culture initiative, they're going to pick up the phone or not, preferably walk over and say, Francine, JR, um, Tashania, let's talk about this issue. We really think that you guys are the ones to lead this forward. So we want to develop that comfort level and that confidence level across the board, because I think that's the direction that HR is going, and that's the direction that I hear the president of SHRM is talking about. Is that we have,
Right.
yeah, we definitely have to morph into that. We have to be disruptors, right?
Right,
So
absolutely.
we have to really differentiate and disrupt, and I think that's what our little discussion, our fabulous discussion here tonight is leading to.
I'm loving it.
You're loving it. I love it.
I'm
Yes,
loving it. Yes, and it just exudes. It comes out naturally.
I think
absolutely.
I think Pamela, the discussion is with the amount of time we have very, very powerful. I want to say we could do a whole nother hour or more on HR metrics, or we could do another hour on just earning trust in the C-suite. I love what Fran said about accessing credible resources to, present your position. We don't have to know everything about everything, but if we know how to
That,
use the library index card, for example, or
Hmm.
find access to the resources, or call your partners. Certainly they're going to help you with relevant information. That's a powerful, powerful thing.
Absolutely.
So
Very good. Thank you, Mike, for that. The other thing I also wanted to mention that I was actually invited by a company to develop a corporate university. In other words, an in-house training program, very structured for their organization. And I'm not going to name the company, but they did not even invite HR to the table. They invited me as an external consultant. They know I've been doing a lot of training, and I did not wear my HR hat. I was wearing my personal branding image consulting training and then professor at Palm Beach State. And they say, can you come in and give us a proposal to do this? And I would then say to them, but I'd like HR to be part of it. And they said, oh, HR can deal with the HR part of it. So they think HR can deal with the HR part of it, not
Oh,
yeah,
viewing
wow.
HR as being the whole. You see what I mean?
That's a
So
problem.
that is a problem. So we have to shift. It's
and
a
that's coming from the top
Yeah,
too. Is
that's a mindset shift in a huge, huge way.
Hmm.
So little by little, we have to develop ways to chip away at that confidence level, that trust level, that gravitas. All of those pieces lead to being empowered and also to be viewed as a powerful part of the team and get that seat at the table.
Right.
So
Mhm.
those are a couple of things I wanted to kind of, leave you guys with. And whether we are have jobs, and I was hoping that we'd have a few more people here, or whether we're in transition, these are all takeaways for us to keep working on and building our skills and being, just kind of making sure that we're keeping the power and empowering others along the way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, this, I take that was a that was an applause or whatever it was. So, any other thoughts or questions that you guys had when you came in tonight to the room?
Oh, I'm good.
No, I think it was well presented, and it's what all of us HR professionals have to deal with is building that trust with the
Hmm.
C-suite and making sure that
Absolutely.
they understand what we bring to the table. And it's
Absolutely.
taken years. I mean, every basically HR is, that little nippy voice in the head that
Hmm.
the perception is that we're just that little annoyance that says, well, you can't do this and you can't do that.
Hmm.
And I think we're just you know, I think we've come a long way from those days, but I still think there is some perception of that today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Tashana, you work for a law firm, is that what I understand? Are you work in the legal field, correct?
Yeah, I work as a paralegal.
Okay, so that's a perfect marriage to brand yourself, you know, cross-brand yourself between HR and legal. So keep that in mind as you go along your path.
Okay.
Mike, how are we doing on time? Are we just about out of time?
We are, but I want to say great dialogue tonight, and Tashania, the marriage between law or employment law and HR is a huge request to the executive table. When they look at us as
Absolutely.
HR people as bona fide risk managers, that's when we can really start making impact to the bottom line earning trust and all the stuff that we've been talking about. But
Mhm.
yeah, I want to thank Pamela for jumping in tonight. I want to also say Pamela is back the third Monday through the rest of the summer. So look for more of her. She's also presenting tomorrow. Are you not, Pamela? Where?
Yes, I am. I'm presenting tomorrow night at the Wellington Chambers, hosting an event at in a brand new building of the Capitol Lighting, and it's around personal branding and how to sharpen your competitive edge. It's for small business owners, but we've extended invitation to my entire network, and it's free. And one of the business owners is actually underwriting the entire evening, and we have a few more book signings and things going on. So let me just ask: is everybody on my? Did everybody get my email over the weekend? My
Yes,
Okay, perfect. So I have all of my future events listed there. So I've been having some fabulous book signings. And if
good.
anybody ever wants to know how to just kind of step out there and trust yourself and the net will appear, we can have a conversation over a couple glasses of wine about that.
I like it.
Wonderful,
It's been all good.
wonderful. And I'm going to put in, we do this every Monday night. We have different speakers. Next week we have Gary Saper, who's a past president of the HR ABC or Human Resource Association of Broward County. He's also one of our founding contributors here. He's a great guy. He's going to be talking about successful things people do when networking to escalate interviews. So that's a little bit about what Gary's doing. I'm on a live workshop scheduled next week, June 23rd. The Miami chapter, Greater Miami Society of Human Resources, gemsherm.org, is having yours truly show up and teach a 45-minute workshop on video interviewing skills for HR people who might be wanting to embrace that first recruiter that says, let's go on Skype, or let's turn on your video camera. And so we're going to be helping people that June 23rd, and that's in Doral next week. Other than that, I'm going to say thanks everybody for being here. There is more things going on in between our workshops. If you sign in or RSVP early, the chat that is right over here sometimes has resources or white papers. Sometimes we'll put local jobs, and you can also find out more on our blog called the hrinsidetrack.com. So with that, I want to say, JR, great to see you.
Yeah,
Tashania,
good to see you.
thanks for ponying up to the camera. We want you back. And Francine, always a pleasure. Pamela, let's talk
Thanks.
soon, okay?
Right,
Great
right.
work.
Just
I'm
one
going to
quick
go
question,
ahead.
Mike.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to connect with Tashania and Lana. I don't know if she's helping. I know she's getting a lot of stuff we're talking about, but I'd like to connect on LinkedIn. So you see my name on the screen?
Uh-huh.
You guys can go ahead and send me a LinkedIn invite, and my email address, I'm sure you're going to need that for LinkedIn, is Pamela at Ultimate Image Coach, and let's connect and keep the conversation going.
Okay. Sounds great. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Pam.
Bye,
All right,
everybody.
you're welcome.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Nice seeing you.
JR.
Bye-bye.